This video is for you, my beautiful daughter, Claudia. I thought it was about time that I told you why you don't know very much about me. What you think you know about me isn't exactly right. Some of it is, you know, but a large part of it's not. And I'm going to show you a little bit of why that is today. And I'm going to start that off by explaining that there are certain people. Your grandmother, I know you loved her. I loved her too, even though she talked about me like I was dirt. Just like your sister, Tanya, and your mom. You know, I'm not mad. I'm not trying to get even with anybody. I'm just telling you the truth. And right now, if you were sitting here, I would be looking you right in the eyes like I am right now in this beautiful picture of you. So I thought I would let you know that the reason I've been in contact with your mom. I mean, we go in and out of talking to each other, and every time in the past 4 years, maybe 5, um, well, actually, it goes on a lot longer than that now that I think about it. Every time that we broach the subject of the money that you were supposed to get from my mother, from your grandmother, after she died, that you didn't get, you know, and I want you to know that I forgive you for blaming me for that. I fully understand. But the truth is, every time that I talk to your mother about it, she stops talking to me. Probably sometimes for up to a year. There's got to be a reason for that. I don't know what that is yet, but I'm about to discover what that is, as you're going to see. And that's what this video is all about, is showing you the conversations that we've had. Now, I'm not going to play the ones, um, the really bad ones, you know, where your mom, you know, she'll talk about Tanya, and she doesn't talk about you. She loves you. You know, your mom loves you. But one of the things I want you to understand, baby doll, is I at the time, you know, it's the times in my life where I had the chance to make the right choice. Uh, from the outside, it may look like I was making the wrong choice, you know, but when I know me better than anybody else, and I know that, you know, when Tanya was a baby, well, not a baby, but like when she was um, 5 years old, and I um, put her on a plane and sent her back to your grandma's. I was at a stage in my life, you know, Sonia and I had just split up, and I was in no shape to take on a 4-year-old, you know, and I wasn't willing to drag her through what I was going through, because I knew I wasn't done drinking and partying and all that stuff, you know. As everyone knows, your mom's not like that. She will drag you right through her drug abuse and her prostitution and everything that's going on in her life. But you know, I can't expect other people to share my values. You know, so there. You know, this whole video. I hope you watch the whole thing, because this, you know, people display me as a racist. And I want to explain something. Just because I don't believe in interracial relationships doesn't make me a racist. And in this video, you'll see a big part of that. And you're going to see something about a brother that you don't know anything about. You know? You're going to get a glimpse of the pain that I've gone through. A lot over you, a lot over Tanya, a lot over Dakota, and a lot over Jason. So, I hope you watch the whole thing. I love you, even though I hardly know you. But I know a part of you is me. So there's got to be some good in you. Because there is good in me. People tell lies about other people because they're guilty about what they've done in their lives to them. Okay? I don't do that. I mean, I don't have any reason to do that. There's enough truth there that I wouldn't have to do that. So, anyways, I'm going to show you that today. I'm going to, wow. I just, at Christmas time, my heart just aches over you guys, and because, the reason I get kept away from you most of the time is because, people have a guilty conscience because they know what they've said about me to you and everyone else, and they don't want to go through that embarrassment and have to answer those questions. Why they did that, and I understand that to some extent, but when kids are involved, it's really it's soft child abuse, but it's still child abuse. There's no reason that you and I, and Dakota and I, and Tanya, she's the same way, because she knows what she said and done over the years. She's no angel, not like she pretends that she is. And your mom and I just had a conversation about that. She knows that, your mom doesn't know that I've recorded every conversation that we've had in the past. Not everyone, but in the past couple months, yes, I've recorded every one because I knew this was coming. I'm not, I'm not going to be around very much longer, so, every time I start, your mother and I start getting along and stuff, and I mention, there's two things that stops every time that we get close to becoming friends again, which just happened again recently. If I mention how maybe she should, tell you the truth, or at least I'm trying to find some doorway back into your life, and the same with Dakota, I've done that, and the door gets slammed in my face. Because Dakota's mom and your mom doesn't want you to know anything really about me, because it's going to give away some of the bad stuff that they've done. And they always, sure, they might share some of the bad stuff that they've done to themselves, but they're not going to share the bad stuff that they've done to other people. And I'll admit to it, you can ask me any question, I'll tell you the truth, period. Because the only way I've ever learned from my mistakes is by owning them, And one of the hardest thing, you don't know nothing about my childhood or anything, but, I had a terrible childhood. I had my mom and stepfather and my mom and my real father broke up before I was even born. They divorced before I was even born. And so when she remarried Jack Faulkner, that guy was a really good guy. He only put his hands on me one time, but he'd been drinking too, and the situation wasn't right. I don't co-sign any bullshit. Period. So, anyways, fast forward to my mom's stepfather. Mom and him drank all day, every day when they got off work, And I was a punching bag. I mean, plain and simple. And when I got tired of being a punching bag, I would call the sheriff, and the sheriff would come put me in detention centers, you know. And this always happened around Christmas time. You know, one of the biggest reasons why I don't really like Christmas. And that and the fact that I don't get to be around any of you kids. But conveniently, it always, you know, Mom and Bert always had all of my all of my parents. That sounds crazy to say, but all of my parents have always had really good jobs and stuff. So, you know, it made no sense that I was always in juvenile detention. You know, when Mom and Bert got divorced, she went to Townsville and Carol's house, and she finally broke down and told the truth to the family that, you know, her. Well, I didn't hear the conversation. I'm sure that she blamed Bert for everything, you know. But when I showed up for Christmas dinner, Townsville and Keith were like, "Oh man, if we'd only known, we're so sorry," you know. And by the end of the Christmas dinner, they had forgotten all about that because you can't listen to 10 years of lies and then hear the truth one time and that all go away. And I understand that. But you know, I forgave you when your grandma got, was diagnosed with, you know, brain cancer. Um, I called her and I said, listen, I'm going to sell everything that I have down in Myrtle Beach, and I'm going to come up there and take care of you, you know. But first, I forgave Grandma for everything that she ever did. That was one of the that was the first of the series of hardest things I've ever done in my life. And then, you know, there was a part where she called me back and told me she didn't want. I had a pit bull named Fat Boy who had gotten in a lot of trouble with other people's animals, and she said he didn't want him up there at the house there on Ashcraft, and I said I understand. And then within a week, this is the timeline right before your grandmother died, and a week before I had this conversation with your grandmother, and the next day, Fat Boy got in trouble again. He jumped the fence and attacked someone's dog, and the dog catcher had it. And I said, yeah, I know the drill, you know, 30-day, you know, I'll put him in 30-day quarantine, and the dog catcher goes, listen, no, because I already know that your mother is sick, she's terminally ill, and you're getting ready to leave South Carolina. So I was, you know, I was really stuck between a hard place and an impossible place, because I love that dog and I love my mother, you know. So a very good friend of mine said, listen, man, you need to go ahead and cut your losses with the dog, because the Fat Boy had cost me thousands of dollars. And he was right, you know. So I made a decision to let them keep the dog and put him down, you know. And it took me about 5 days to get over that. And when I had all my stuff packed up, my friend was going to bring what I couldn't carry on my motorcycle up here. Okay, I'm not going to skip over this, but it's a hard part for me to share. I called to tell your grandmother that Fat Boy had caused himself to be taken out of the picture. And Joyce answered your grandmother's cell phone. And I said, is my mom there? And Joyce said, who is this? I said, I said, whose cell phone are you using? I'm using saying, yeah. Well, what's it say on the face of that phone? I just, like I said, I was talking to your grandmother, 2, 3 times a week your entire life. I've never not been in touch with my mom. She's my only mom, and I'm her only child. So, um, I said, "Where's my mom?" And Joyce said, "She's dead." And I said, "Why hasn't somebody called me?" And again, Joyce is like, "We didn't know how to get in touch with you. You got my mom's cell phone in your hand. I know they went through it and knew I was there, you know." And so I said, "Listen, I'm getting on my motorcycle right now." Well, I got off the phone and called your, I can't remember their names now, but your little friend that lived in the blue house 2 doors over. I called over there and asked them what was going on, and my mother had been dead for 3 days, and and Keith and Joyce had been taking van load, and I don't know if you even remember that. You had to be around. Somehow you ended up at Townsville with Townsville. I'm trying to get all that information now so I can find out who took your money. Um, but so I called back over to mom's cell phone and I said, "Listen, I'm getting on my motorcycle right now, and when I get to Dayton, Ohio, there better be none of you in my mother's house when I get there." And I got right on my motorcycle and I drove up here uh, um, on the 16th of February, and it was 17 degrees when I got to Dayton, Ohio. And, you know, you I got to see you some during that time, but you don't know all this stuff. You were young at the time, and I don't know how you wound up in with Townsville and with your mom and with Katie, but uh, you know, Keith and Joyce. There was a will. Your grandmother left a will there at the house. She left a copy of it there, and she filed a copy of it with GMAC, General Motors. And they sent me $20,000. My $20,000 check, and I had to sign. I had to create an account at GMAC so they would give me the check, and Tanya had to do the same thing. Tanya was driving up and down Ashcraft, throwing beer cans at your grandma's mailbox, screaming out the window, "What a terrible piece of shit I am!" And I called her on her cell phone. She wouldn't answer. She's a spineless rebel. And I said, "Hey, why don't you pull that piece of junk in here, and I'll tell you how to get $20,000 so you can buy your own car." Tanya knows if Tanya hears it, she'll hear this. I'm gonna send a copy of this to everybody, to your mom, to Tanya, and I'm gonna arrange for you to see this somehow, as you'll see. But Tanya got her $20,000, bought a $3,000 car, snorted up the rest of the money, and was asking me for money, several months later to buy her a new car because she bashed that nice white Toyota that she had. She beat it to death. And I said, "Well, no, no one ever gave me money to buy a car when I was a child. From my very first car to the day to today, no one's ever bought me a car." So, um, so I every time that I get to looking, I don't know why your mom uh, stops talking to me every time I mention trying to find your check. But I'm going to get to the bottom of that. And you'll see in these emails um, that I sent her that, you know, what I'm telling you is true. These emails are all in chronological order, in the order that they were either sent or received in the past. Um, I would say ever since the 29th of November. That's as far as I went back. But believe me, man, it goes way, 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 way back. I'm not going to share any of Tanya's. This is just between you I'm sorry, between your mother and I. You know, so I blotted out your mom's email and my email, but I left the dates where you can see them and what was said. And this was your mom sent this out. Um, where's it? Oh, there, November 30th, 2024. And she answered it. I left her a couple emails, and we were talking on the phone and stuff. And I know I suck as a communicator, blah blah blah. You can read that. I'm not going to. I'm not going to read all these to you, but you can stop the video and watch them. If you want to. I mean, but I'm just trying to show. You see, oh, here she is talking about you and your girlfriend and how Tanya would react to knowing about that. It doesn't bother me. I don't care what you do in your own life. Behind closed doors. I don't really. I don't think it's appropriate, and I know you probably don't believe in God, but I do, and I know what the Bible says about mixing and mingling your seed. You're supposed to keep your seed clean so that you don't lose your race. I know you don't understand that or probably know about that because no one's taught you that. But here, this is nothing. This is all emails back and forth between your mom. I mean, I have that folder. If a lot of them didn't get all deleted over the years and all that stuff, that column would be a mile long. And I sent her these pictures. Back when your mom had her Facebook page, she had no pictures of you. She had none. They were all about Mary Kay. Everything was about glorification of her lifestyle and everything. So every picture that your mom ended up having on her Facebook, I gave to her. I don't know if you know that or not. I don't know if you find that important or not, but it is important. So, and there's, I'm not ashamed of everything. I think I should mention that I'm sure that says something about this in here, but I forgave your grandmother. I forgave her abusive ex-husband. That was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, Claudia, is forgiving that guy who broke my nose, blacked both my eyes, kicked me in the balls. I mean, you have no idea what I went through there. And that's a big thing that I try to explain. Tanya doesn't want to hear it, and you've never heard it before. But I wanted to break the cycle of violence between parents and their children in our family. When my mom and dad divorced before I were born, my real dad, there was a picture of him in military uniform there. We were living in Hawaii, and my dad broke my mom's jaw and 4 of her ribs. And after she was seen at the infirmary there in Hawaii, she jumped on a jag and went to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and I was born right out of that. I was born out of violence and the violence. So, and I listened to all that from Mom for years, her side of the story. And then, when I was 15 and uh, well, I think it was 15. Uh, Mom and Bert had me cornered in the yard up in St. Paris, going to start their beating on. They've been drinking and stuff out in the garden and stuff, and we're drunk. Mom went to slap me, and I grabbed her hands. And said, "You're not going to put your hands on me," And I left, and they had the sheriff looking for me for days, for weeks, and finally, when the sheriff got me, they put me in juvenile detention for being unruly. That was the charge every time. I was an unruly child. But see, the schools didn't recognize any of that. They didn't understand. They didn't know what was going on when I was missing 2 weeks of school and stuff like that, because I had to stay home to hide my broken nose and black eyes and all that stuff. So, it's right in here. Okay. I was getting sexually abused by close family members at early age. And combined with my lifestyle, I couldn't take the chance of putting them and myself, I'm explaining this about the kids, and that cycle of violence could continue. As far as the sexual abuse goes, if you ever want to see true medieval rage, let me catch anyone putting their hands on a child in that way, and you'll witness something so horrific that you'll never be able to remove the images from your mind or even mention it in a whisper. I love you, Mary. I said, to your mom. And she received it because we talked on the phone, and I don't know if the answer to this is here, but let's see, this is on 12/1, on 12/3. I don't think she answered another email after this, maybe even before this, but she saw it, and we talked about it on the phone. She's doing a bunch of stuff. She supposedly cooked me a turkey, and she was going to bring it to me, and she just stopped talking to me once I started talking about finding your money again. Here's the answer to her. Honey, I shut the fuck down yesterday. I don't want to talk to anybody. She's talking about how you guys, your kids, her kids, all of you are just driving her fucking nuts. She's pretty selfish. Yeah, and I think you probably see that. Anyways, and if you don't, this video, that's what this video is about. And your mom, tiny little problems are so huge. You can look through my YouTube channel and see what I was going through this time. And your mom knew every bit of it. But anyway, and she was promising to help a little bit, what she could, And I wasn't demanding on her or anything. I was being super nice, like I always do. I have to kiss her hiney like everybody else, or she'll just stop answering the phone and talking to you, answering the door. You know what I'm saying is true, don't you? Honey, I love you. Oh, yeah, I just never had a chance to show you. Yeah. Listen how she talks about these autistic children that she's taking care of. Oh, me, I'm so sorry. I'm the victim. She's always the victim. A lot of that comes from going to NA and AA and all that stuff, because it's okay. Hi, my name is so and so, and I relapse. Oh, that's okay. And it's like get another white chip and do it again, you know. Honey, I shut the fuck down. I don't want to talk to nobody, not even my own kids, because they both piss me off. But you guys do step on a crack, you know. I had the worst migraine, fucking stress. Several different situations, really. Are you on the verge of being unlawfully evicted because of the government program? I'm not even going to do that. But read this. This really tells a lot about your mother. The other night, I took the female I took to the pantry the other night in Miami Bird for Fairborn with their two autistic children, and just toddler seats, not car seats, was ridiculous. I was so stressed out by the time I got home. So, anyways, somebody stopped by with some food from the VA and wish me a happy Christmas, a Merry Christmas. I don't celebrate Christmas, you know, partly because of what I've told you about spending so many of them in juvenile detention and stuff. Christmas doesn't really, I mean, it's not about showering each other with gifts. I mean, showering the kids with gifts is okay if you explain what the holiday is really all about. But anyway, so you know, this is on the 15th. Where was the other one? Oh, okay. This is this was the day before I went to eviction court. Uh, and I'm going to leave that all out. I mean, it's on my YouTube channel if you want to see what all went on there. It's unreal. But anyways, don't you think this is getting a little ridiculous? I've been calling your mom, and I mean, we were talking to each other every day, sending emails and stuff, and I, you know, so when was this? It's on the 13th. That was on the 12th. Yeah, you know, 12th. She emailed me on the 12th. I just want you to know that I'm telling the truth, okay? And that's something that people need to start practicing and learning how to be truthful and not be spiteful and all that stuff. I mean, I get mad and get spiteful, but I don't have to tell any lies about these people, anybody, because for one, I'm not a liar, I'm not a thief, and there's enough truth about them to, you don't even need to lie about it. So anyway, so there's the 12. This is on the 13th. This is on the 15th. You don't want to talk to me because you gave my turkey away, or because I started talking about finding out who stole Claudia's money, or something else. Never answered. She never talked to me again. You know, from I don't, since that date, the 12th. So she hadn't talked to me in 3 days at this point. She hadn't talked to me since the day before I got evicted, which would have been the 11th of December. Okay? And here I am again on the 15th. I'm not mad or anything. I just call but you can read that. You know, anybody can read that. I'm not embarrassed by this. I'm not done anything wrong to be embarrassed about. But all these people have. Said somebody, and this Keith Townsend, Mary Kay, and knows something more than they're telling. And you know, so about your money, you know. You know, I forgave your mom, and I'm going to call Keith today. Townsend doesn't know how to behave. He acts like a badass, and I'll tell him, listen, man, if you're in front of me, I'll shut your mouth for you. You know, I'm not. He came into my mother's living room after they had robbed the house, took the will. I'm the only child. All of that stuff was supposed to be mine. I lost the house because of these two people right here, Keith and Townsend. You know, Claudia or Tanya. Oh, you lost my. Yeah, I lost my house. It wasn't her house. That was my house. It could have been hers after I was done with it. You know, but the truth is, these two people did something with the will because I had just talked to your grandmother a week before, and she told me where it was, and she told her first cousin Timmy Little, where it was. It was in the back of her journal that she kept on all of us. And you know, when I got there, besides all the antiques and everything, you saw. You probably don't remember, but you were coming over there and visiting your friend a couple doors over, and I think your mom or Townsend or somebody brought you by once or twice, you know. But you know, and here I am asking your mom about all that because I wanted to talk to her about, you know, how Townsend, you know, who had the custody, the chain of custody at that time, you know, and you know, I just want to find out who had custody of you at the time that your money was stolen, you know, because someone would have had to have, they would have either had to forge the check, which I'm getting ready to get a copy of my mom's General Motors beneficiary statement. You know, uh, I got to get back on there, and I'm so busy right now. Just taking a break right now, but I got to set up an account and all that stuff. And once that's all set up, um, they're going to help me out. General Motors in Detroit, Michigan. But anyways, and I'm going to find that. I'm going to get that check because it's in that statement. You know, it's in mom's retirement. And there's different rules on keeping documentation when it comes to dead people. You know, in a lot of cases, and when it comes to mortgages and life insurance policies, it's a little different. But anyways, man, I'm you know, at this point, yeah, I'm not accusing your mom or anything. You know, maybe I'm telling her, you know, my, who I think stole your money, but I don't know. I don't even know that your check was ever claimed. You know, because I was shut out of your life at that time. See, there's so many important things that would have went completely different if I was still in your life. Because I don't just think about me, regardless of what everyone's told you, and you know, to hide their own shame. You know, I don't just think about me. You can look at my YouTube channel and see what I'm doing now about veterans and homelessness, and all the crap that's going on in this world. It's not just about me, because I know if I am going through all that I'm going through, there's millions of other families going through the same thing. And a lot of people don't have the intellect to even recognize what they're going through. You know, I mean, they know the hard side of it, but they don't know how to complain about. They don't even know they have a right to complain about a lot of it. So, anyways, and here's me, the one-sided trying to get your. I'm begging her. I had talked about setting up a will. I was trying to get her to set up a will. You know, help me set up a will so I could leave everything to someone. You know, Tanya won't even talk to me, and she's part of the problem. You know, and Dakota, he doesn't. None of you know. I mean, I would much rather the three of you get what I have uh, than some stranger. You know, so, but, you know, those walls have been built for a long time, and every time that I try to breach those walls with some common sense and the truth, they just get reinforced. So, and this is I mean, you can look at the dates and everything here and the exchange of information. And you know, I mean, I'll make a video. I'll make a video of all the conversations, you know, because I record. I got cameras and stuff set up in the living room. I got cameras everywhere. I got cameras outside recording what's going on. You know, this is a tough times we're living in, you know, and you got to be careful for yourself, you know. You know, I know you were just recently in a car accident and stuff, and you and your girlfriend were hurt pretty bad. And I wish I had a way to reach you and help you. And as you if you read this stuff, you can see that I'm trying to get all this together because I know you guys need money so badly, you know, and you know, I keep hinting again, but see, I don't want to run your mom off, but I've somehow succeeded in doing that again by asking for help fighting your check. But you know, I don't want to start. Oh, hey, you know, it would be really nice if, you know, this time while we're getting along, you would, you know, let me, you know, show some of this stuff to Claudia and let her see the. That's the problem, isn't it? She doesn't want you to see the real me, you know. So, and this is the last email that I sent her on the 20th. I'm not going to waste any more time trying to help someone who just wants to protect themselves and help themselves. She's a selfish person. She's a liar. She always has been. She never will change. And it's everybody else's fault. And even in this closing email, read that third paragraph there. Yeah. And I'm working up the. I'm trying to think of what I'm going to say when I call my Uncle Keith today and tell him that I forgive him because it's going to be hard. Because he ruined. I mean, read this fourth paragraph there. Yeah, and I mean, them taking my mother's will changed everything. I lost the house. I lost my mom's bank accounts. I lost all of her rental property. I lost everything. Your check got lost in the mix because of Keith and Townsend and everybody else trying to hide what they were doing wrong. You know, I'm the only child. Every fucking thing in that house belonged to me, even your toys. Your mom didn't even want to, any of that stuff. I told her, I said, listen, you know, I begged her to bring you over and let me hang out with you, you know, and let you get your stuff. And, you know, and I swear on a stack of Bibles that that's the truth. And your mom knows it's the truth. And most importantly, God knows it's the truth. So, anyways, I'm going to close this out, and I'm going to tag a video that a couple of videos. One is what I made recently. One is when right after I got back to Dayton, I made it, and everybody should watch it because it's really informative and it shows the real me, the racist, right? That's what everybody likes. That's the card everybody like label it, like to pin on everybody, but they don't like what they're saying. But anyways, it's the reality of how I feel about the whole situation and how everybody else should be feeling about this situation. Claudia Trower, I love you. And if there was anything that I could do to bridge that gap of communication, this is all I can do. You know, I'm at the end of my journey. My health is destroyed. My financial disaster is just beyond belief, you know. And this is my legacy. This is what I'm leaving you right here for now, unless things change. I don't hate Tanya. I don't hate anyone. I don't hate Dakota. I don't hate their mothers, even though I resent what they've done, the lies that everyone's told about me. I resented my mother for all the lies she told everybody about me for decades, you know. But I forgave everybody. I forgave my mom. I forgave Bert Damron. I forgave your mother. I forgave Tanya. I forgave Tanya on her birthday during the beginning of the pandemic. I've forgiven everybody because that's what you're supposed to do. It was killing me. It was killing me carrying around all that anger and wanting to get revenge and stuff, you know. It was killing me. It wasn't hurting anybody else, you know, so. That's all I got for you, sweetheart. I hope I get to see you once before I step over to the other side. I gotta get off here. Let's talk about the war on the poor. And let's talk about elected officials who vote on their own pay raises. Okay. And excuse me, I'm eating a sandwich because I had to go to the grocery store and buy something to eat because my sugar was so low I was about to pass out. When elected officials vote in themselves for pay raises and government programs like, charitable programs like food stamps and welfare goes down and the prices of groceries go up, there's a war on the people, okay? When you go to the grocery store and a pound of ham is $6 to $8 and a loaf of bread is $4 and a gallon of milk is $4, there's a war on the poor, okay? And all of these politicians and corporations talking about, that participate in diversity, equity, inclusion, a loaf of bread and a gallon of milk doesn't know what color you are, okay? You don't get ain't nobody gets a discount on any of those things because of the color of their skin. So we all need to band together because all of this stuff, the diversity, equity, and inclusion garbage, is just to keep us fighting with each other, so we don't come after those that are responsible for the current situation that we're in. Just as plain as that, and as simple as that. When I went to the grocery store, there was some young black woman. Mean mugging me because I was still moving and she wasn't walking in the parking lot. I'm sorry, she wasn't walking in the crosswalk, you know. And I open the door for everybody. I don't care what color you are. You know, as long as you ain't red with horns on your head, I'll open the door for you. So I get into the bread area where I got my $4 bread. And I had a really interesting conversation with he was in his 30s, a black gentleman, and he knew exactly what I was talking about. You know, there are people out there that are woke up to what's going on more than most people think that there is. But as long as social engineering and social platforms are engineering people with a twisted logic and twisted perception of what's actually going on, it's kind of, it's hard to communicate with some people. You know, when they were doing social distancing, how come it's not health distancing? Yeah, it's social distancing because they don't want you talking to each other. That's why you couldn't go to church, you couldn't go to school, you couldn't go if you weren't in Antifa or BLM, you weren't allowed to be on the streets. You know, and then you think I'm racist or whatever, but you're out of your mind. That $4 piece, that $4 loaf of bread. Don't know what color you are, but your elected officials and these corporations know who you are. They know what color your skin is. They don't give a damn. So think about that next time you go to the voting booth, go to the grocery store. When you have corporations, and I'm going to do a video on this here later this week. I'm going to look at the quarterly um, reporting of profits. You know, the corporate profit. You know, like Kroger. I'm going to look into that, and Walmart and all that, and look at the quarterly reported earnings, and then look at the price of their products, and then look at what they gave their employees. Because that's what I'm getting ready to do a video on. Because I looked at, when I went out to rent a storage unit, um, and I went to U-Haul, I had a nice conversation. Listen, every time I go where where I live at, I'm until I moved in here, there was hardly any white people here, and I was raised here as a kid, and you know, I get along with everybody, you know. And when I go to the grocery store, and there's young people, you know, looking at you like you're the demon, and you got, well, when they look at you with this look like you're some kind of lesser human being than they are, or they're scared of you, and then the older people are scared to death of a white folk, you know. So that's a problem, you know. I you know, I opened the door for this elderly black lady, and she looked at me like she was so surprised, you know. And I said, you know what really bothers me about you, about that? She's like, what? I said, it bothers me that you are surprised that I would hold the door for you, you know. America, you better wake up and unify. Don't fight with each other. Fight with the people that are causing this. You know, that's all I got to say. Have fun at the grocery store.
So, how do I stress how important the Office of Strategic Initiatives is? This is going to be a tough one for me. Back in 2013, at Christmas time, my oldest son, who was a grade A student, I mean, he was a good boy, you know, and he was working at Tiger Direct, which is an electronics store down in Florida, that he was doing that to help pay for his way to college, you know, pay for his personal stuff. The school and transportation, all that stuff was taken care of. He was such a good boy, he bought a bicycle so he could ride it back and forth to work, so he didn't have to spend his money on gasoline. I mean, he was a good kid, y'all. And right before Christmas, he didn't come home from work. I mean, he always came home. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, enough times to explain how good of a kid he was. But anyways, he didn't come home. Never called, nothing. For 3 days. And then on Christmas Day, we found him in the park by the house. And he'd been stabbed to death, laying in the park next to his bicycle. For 3 days. I'm sorry. Imagine yourself doing interviews on the TV and everything, begging for information, offering $10,000 reward for information on who did this. And then 6 months later, they finally find the guy who did it. And he was a 15-year-old black monster in jail for his 6th felony cocaine possession charge, bragging to the other inmates about this fucking cracker that he stabbed up because his parents were giving him a hard time about buying him something for Christmas. And then imagine having to go through that trial and listen to that fucking monster talking about his parents giving him a hard time, and he grabbed a butcher knife and headed out the door of their apartment and decided he was going to stab the first person he saw. And I'm going to tell you right now how ridiculous racism is. Because if there was any such thing as a person who has a right to be a racist, I think that I qualify. But racism is just, it would be this ridiculous. If I blame the entire race for my son's death. I mean, you see how fucking ludicrous that is? That's fucking mentally retardation by choice. And I made a video about this. When I discovered the Office of Strategic Initiatives here in Dayton, Ohio, my home had gotten burglarized by someone that I was trying to help. I was feeding, giving them rides, trying to help them out, and giving them money. I mean, the dude could have had anything he asked for, except for the guitars that he stole. He knew that was personal. So, he was on the run. He was already on the run from court for not reporting about probation. And when he was finally caught and in jail, you know, I'm contacting the probation department and you know, wanting to make sure that they know that I bought a criminal background report on the guy, and that I know he's got 105 previous arrests. I mean, he got 8 domestic violence charges. He went to prison 1 time, and while he was in prison, he got like 7 of these criminal charges. Burglary inside prison, felony cocaine possession and distribution in prison. So I asked the probation officer, I said, what I want to know is, how are you a probation officer for somebody that doesn't even live in this state? And she said, what are you talking about? I said, You don't know that Gilbert Engel lives in another state? She said, why would I? I said, how about it's your fucking job? I contacted the court, the supervisor, the county commission, the administration. I'm like, how in the fuck does this probation officer done? You know, I want to know that she's disciplined for this stuff. But she's getting paid. She's drawing a paycheck to do nothing. This career criminal's out breaking into my fucking house because she ain't doing her goddamn job. I got the email. I can make that the thumbnail. Yeah, I'll make that the thumbnail. When I inquired to the court, to the bailiff, and I wanted to know that that the law was followed on the reprimand for that probation officer, because essentially what she's doing, she's providing a false report to the court, and that's putting him back on the doorstep at my house and your house. So they kept saying, oh yeah, they put the supervisor of probation on there instead of them handling it, and it's their job, okay? So, yeah, oh yeah, I'll call you, yeah, okay. I still waiting on that call. No more. 2 years. So, long story short, they gave that motherfucker 30 days in drug treatment. How in the fuck does a career criminal with drug possession charges and distribution inside of a state penitentiary get 30 days drug treatment? The Office of Strategic Initiatives. That's how. You better do that search and see how it's going on in your area. And ask yourself, what does race have to do with our health? Well, when you look at that site, you're going to see what it has to do with your health. Because here's what's going on, okay? Most people have one-dimensional thinking, and you know, it's not their fault. It's the way that you're trained from birth, you know, from school and everything else. So, say the like the MAGA thing, that was to fool you for one thing, and to put you in a category. Okay, that puts you in a category as a dissident. Okay. They're all, you know, sovereigns and all that sovereignty movement shit. Homeland Security determined that kind of rhetoric was domestic terrorism, paper terrorism. So you got to be really careful when you're doing that shit and get it right, or you'll be fucked up. But anyways, I'm sorry about my language. I just get really excited about this shit. Because one of the guitars that piece of shit stole from me is a $7,000 guitar. It's irreplaceable. They made 48 of them. And he knew that. The reason that the racism thing is they want, that's a tool. I mean, but there's no question that it's a tool. The only thing systematic about racism is the system using it to keep us divided. So when I stumbled onto it at the county, that's how I found the NIH stuff, because I have been looking at that for about a year, over a year. And when I was looking at it, I'm like, shit, I didn't even see it. I didn't even live here when they passed it, you know. Well, I have been just moving up here. And they collaborated, I should say they colluded with these nonprofits. Okay, these nonprofits are racially motivated nonprofits that are financed by these corporate entities. Okay, that's how the fraud works in the court. Okay, so they got together with the sheriff and the county commission and the administration and these racists and provided a false report to the people. And their policy is based on there was too many black folks getting arrested for getting caught with a joint. So they had to tie the police officers' hands so they didn't even talk to them anymore. That make any sense to you? And they lied to everybody, okay? And they provided this report, how it was going to save everybody money and all that shit. But let me tell you something. When Dayton, Ohio stays in the top 10 and hits the top 5 twice for being the highest state in the nation, I mean the highest city in the nation for murder, what kind of price do they put on human life? Zero. They value your life at nothing, no matter what color you are. Black people, you need to wake up. You minorities need to wake up to how you're being used. White privilege is a myth. That's something that they created. Okay, we had a right to go to work and pay our fucking taxes or go to jail like y'all. You know, and you guys cannot deny that if you weren't committing so many fucking crimes, you wouldn't have so much. You wouldn't have the higher population percentage in the prisons. You know, and I'm not going to say that policing doesn't have something to do with that. Okay, but I mean, two of them go together. If you weren't committing crimes, you couldn't get busted. It's not like they're setting you up and putting you in prison, which they do that to everybody. But you got to be honest with yourself here. These career politician criminals are catering to the other criminals, which aren't taxpayers. They're not. They're not adding anything to the community except for death and destruction and theft. And we pay for that in gasoline prices and every product we buy. The insurance goes up and everything. Who's going to eat that? The fucking corporations? You haven't been paying attention, have you? And listen, this is going to be my last instructional video for a while because, you know, 1 or 2 likes and 1 or 2 reposts ain't worth my fucking time. And especially when people want to attack me, call me a fag and a commie, all kinds of fucking shit. Not to my face, of course. But you know, if you're not looking at following any of the instructions, look at this stuff and find out what's going on. I know you're not because nobody's coming back saying, wow, man, I saw that, you know. Yeah, I already know. I'm not going to waste my time. Listen, my shit is fucking top notch. It's better than what you're getting from any news source you're paying attention to. I promise you that. And all these fuckers that come at me, ain't none of them got a receipt in their fucking pocket. And every one of the things that I share has receipts all over it. By the way, the new black girlfriend I was going to introduce to everybody, she's beautiful. Look at her. Fuck yeah. My instruments are my family. You steal one of them, it's like kidnapping one of my fucking children. I'm not prejudiced. Everyone that lives in it, I take care of 18 buildings here. 18 apartments. I'm the only white guy here, y'all. The only one. And And these folks tried that racism bullshit when I first caught here, you know, and they're like, I mean, I kill it with kindness. How about gonna be a racist when I'm bringing you food? Somebody's shit got stolen out of the car, and they're trying to blame me, and then the people who were blaming me are like, hey, can you let me in? Could you call, you know, I'm like, pulled the key out to their apartment right out of my pocket. I got the master keys. And their mouth hit the fucking sidewalk when I opened the door. Yeah, if I wanted your shit, I could take it all, motherfuckers. I ain't living like that. If you don't like what I'm sharing, change what I'm sharing. Because you ain't going to change me. I'm going to tell the truth till the day I die. If you don't like that, kiss my ass.